When I was a little kid, we lived in Kentucky. We used to go visit my grandparents here in Kentucky. Both of them lived on farms, just little small Kentucky farms there. And so on the farm, my dad's mom, Granny, we called her Granny. Granny would get layer eggs and have them in the living room, and she'd have a big cardboard box with shavings in the bottom and a heat lamp. And we'd come through the living room, we'd come through and check those eggs, and we'd check the eggs. And after a while, one would start moving a little bit, and you look and there'd be a little flake would start, and that first little baby chick would start finding its way out. Well, there was a hard and fast rule. When they started hatching, you didn't touch them, and it was hard not to touch them. You wanted to reach out and just take a fingernail, because it's struggling, you know, it's cracking it and struggling. It'd take a while. It'd take quite a while for that chick to make it out, and you want to flick that little shell back and just kind of help and kind of help, but it was hard and fast. You didn't do that, because if you helped that baby chick out of the egg, it would die. It wouldn't survive. The struggle to get out of the egg is what got its blood flowing. It's what got its muscles working. It's what it would have the strength then to continue on. But if you peeled the egg away for it, it'd likely just die. Sometimes helping is the biggest detriment you can do to somebody. Sometimes one of the hardest things to learn growing up is to know when to help somebody and when to just let them hit the wall. Sometimes helping people it's not helping. Sometimes kindness, gentleness, support is the worst thing that a person can have. We got to ask ourselves, am I helping this person? Am I trying to help this person or this animal because they need the help? Or am I trying to help them because it makes me feel bad to see the struggle? So therefore I'm helping them not to help them, I'm helping them to help me. Deanna and I and the kids, when we went over there, we had 3 children. We went to Papua New Guinea to teach for a couple years. In between, I had been cowboying on a ranch in Colorado, and then we moved to Texas. It's just a long story, and I don't want to go into it, but they asked us, they needed somebody to go up there and help out, and so we went. So we was up there, and I think Holly, our little girl, she was like 4 years old, and we were in the highland jungles out of Madang, a city called Madang. And Holly had gotten into this thing like a lot of toddlers and children do. If she fell down, she'd come bawling her eyes out, running to mama. Anything happened, she would just come running to mama. And she got to a point when she'd get upset, she'd hold her breath and pass out. And, you know, a couple of times I'd have to catch her, come behind her and catch her, you know, before she hit the ground. And of course, the body, you know, when her mind shut down and her emotions, her little blonde brain shut down, her body says, all right, I can breathe again. And so she was fine. That's not an unusual thing. So one day she's out playing out there with the kids, and somebody did something, or they were kicking a soccer ball and she tripped, or I don't remember what it was. And I heard her, I think she was 4, and I heard her, and here she come. And I went to the door, and she had little elbows out, and she's wiggle wagging across there, trotting it along, trying to go find mama, because she had been offended. So I stood there on the porch and I hollered out at her. I said, Holly, Holly, Holly. And finally it broke through and she stopped. I said, are you dying? No, you need to go to the hospital? No. I said, do we need to call in a medevac? Now it took probably an hour to get up to the main trailhead through the bush, and then from there you hike down off the mountain to a grass strip called a little bush plane, and then took the bush plane into the mountain. And I had medevac people out of there before, so she knew what I was talking about. She knew about bringing in a medevac bush plane and whatnot, and she's like, no. I said, do we need a helicopter? I can bring a helicopter and land right here. Do you need that? No. I said, do we need to put you on a stretcher and carry you out? No. I said, are you having a heart attack? She's like, I don't know what that is, but I don't think no. Are you having a stroke? No. And you could see her brain started working, so she said, do you have diabetes? No. Do you have prostate trouble? And she's like, I know I don't. No. And I went on, oh, you got smallpox? No. You got polio? Daddy. I said, then what are you crying about? Go play. And she just turned around and trotted off and went to play. She did not get the attention. That's what it was all about. It was all about attention. And so if she's not going to get the attention that she was looking for, then there wasn't no point. And when we left New Guinea and came back, we came back to Kansas, and that's, you heard me talk about Tony Smith on here quite a bit. It was at his ranch. We'd been working horses, and it was up in the afternoon, and we were sitting on his front porch. And by that time, she was 6 or 7, and she was out playing with the boys, and she had on a long-tailed skirt and a pair of cowgirl boots, and they were out running. And all of a sudden, she come running around the house where I was sitting up on the porch, and she ran up there and she said, Daddy, Daddy, look at this. And she put her foot up on the chair where I was sitting and pulled her skirt up above her knee, and she had a big road rash right there. And I said, oh, sweetie, I said, red badge of courage. That's a beauty right there. Man, the boys are going to love that. And she laughed and flicked her skirt down, turned around and ran off. And Tony said, man, how in the world do you get your kid? I said, it's just attention. And there's people in life that need comfort, and there's people in life that need help, and then there's people in life that just need a swift kick in the seat of the pants, and they just need to be told, hey, quit your belly aching, quit your whining, get up and go on. And that's hard. It's not easy, especially for a parent. It's hard for a parent sometimes to say, well, what are we going to do? You know, what's the best thing? You know, you can imagine two parents talking about a child that's not traveling down the road of life in a steady manner. And it's like, we've told them and we've told them and we've tried to help. We've done this. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to let them hit the wall. And we don't want them to hit the wall. And we want to do anything we can to keep them from hitting the wall. But they won't listen. And every time they've come running up, crying and begging through their whole life, we've put a Band-Aid on their boo-boo and we've wiped their tears away. And now they expect it. They expect anytime they get a boo-boo, somebody's got to be there with a Mickey Mouse Band-Aid and to wipe their tear away, and then give them a popsicle from the fridge to make them feel better. And they expect that from life. And now they can't just cowboy up and move on. And which would be our fault for letting them get to that point. The reality of life is sometimes you have to let someone hit the wall, because that's the only way they're going to learn. That's the only way they're going to figure it out. Eventually, you got to let go. You got to let go. And it's like that with friends. It's like that with family members. It's like that with just, it's humanity. It's humanity. Some people don't need help. Some people need people to stop helping them. They ain't never going to be worth a hill of beans. Ain't ever going to be worth nothing until people stop helping them.